Welcome to Business Reporter's Best of Global Business campaign. I'm Rachel Hicks. Change is the watchword of the 21st century. In the past 3 years, working practices, supply chains and technology in businesses have changed dramatically. Those rapid transformations have caught many business leaders off guard. Recent research suggests that business leaders feel overwhelmed by the complexity of the challenges faced by their organisations. They also find that their teams and more junior workforce adapt faster than the leaders themselves. Yet it's the leaders who are supposed to decide on strategy and take responsibility for it. The result is stress, a lot of stress, for leaders and boards worldwide. How can today's leaders evolve and thrive in this fast-changing environment? That's what we're going to learn today from Jeremy Blaine, CEO of Performance Works International. Jeremy, welcome. Are today's leaders failing? And if they are, why?
It's a good question to start with, and let's just say though that leaders have always succeeded and failed. It's just the failure rates right now are accelerated and the scale of those failures are bigger because the pace of change and the accelerated nature of transformation in businesses. And what do I mean by leaders? Well, it's the board level leaders, it's the C-suite, it's the senior directors. And what do I mean by failure? It is the failure to secure not just your short-term numbers, but to protect the future of your organisation. It's the failure to attract the right kind of talent into your organisation. The failure to retain the talent that you've already got in there because you're not making progress in the transformational space that you have promised to your people.
So would you say that leaders are acknowledging the potential for failure? And if they are they willing to do anything about it?
So the short answer is no, not really, because there isn't the understanding and awareness of the true scope and scale of the transformational landscape that many leaders are dealing with, and their organisations, of course. So I've created a model called the Triple Now to help them understand that. That brings together the 3 big transformational challenges that organisations and leaders are dealing with. Digital on this side, and when I'm talking to leaders, I throw things at them like stoner apes, gas and paying with gas, tokenomics, the distributed cloud, working with digital twins, building ecosystems, and I largely get blank looks. They say, well, that's not my problem, it's IT's problem. And my statement to them is, no, it's not. It's you as a leader. You have to be credible in this area to navigate the future, the digital future of the organisation. But there's also a human future, which is the second component, which is the workforce transformation. So as well as the things that they do know, hybrid working, and we need to build a very solid learning culture, many leaders aren't aware of how to build credibility also and capability in diversity, equity and inclusion terms. They're also not aware of the rise of the blended workforce. And when I talk to the leaders about that, say, well, yes, that's hybrid working, isn't it? I say, no, it's not hybrid working. This is the coming together of independent workers and permanent workers as your formalised, new, modern era workforce. And when I talk to leaders about that, I tell them you do not have a fit-for-purpose human capital management approach that can cope with that. And when they tell me that's HR's problem, I tell them, no, it's a leadership problem. So that leads to the third component in the middle, which is the leadership learning itself. And I call that the leader shift. What is the personal development and steep learning curve that leaders need to go on so they can master the digital side, they can really immerse themselves in the human side and bring all of that together to be capable, to be credible and be connected.
So how does Performance Works International help?
Well, we help the leaders navigate that journey from what it is they want to achieve, what is the transformation that is going to make the biggest impact on growth for their organisation, to the how-to. How do we get it done, and what are the measures that we need to have in place from day one in order to look at the quantitative and qualitative impact that it's having. So in order to do that, we first look at context, and of course that's the Triple Now. So we assess where the organisation is and where those leaders are in their own journey in the Triple Now. The digital sphere, the human, the workforce sphere, and their own leadership itself. So what stage of the development journey in learning terms are the leaders on themselves? So once we've established the context, it allows us to look at the speed of the learning journey that the leaders are going to go on, appropriate to that contextual journey that they're in. Once we've done that, we can put those appropriate measures from day one in place, both the quantitative measures, so the dials that we need to move so that they know that they're making progress, but also the qualitative elements like how is the engagement within the organisation? What is the culture of the organisation looking like, and is it evolving? Once we've done that as well and we've started our learning journey, we also bring in different voices. So that would be experts from all over the world, either virtually or face-to-face, that have unique research, great new case studies. Year on year this is, by the way, as well. We change this every year. So they get different perspectives as well as our voice and as well as their own discussions. But we make that physical too. We take them out of their environment and do what we call leadership exploration days. So we take them to different industries, to different companies. We expose them to leaders who are going through the same challenges or opportunities. And they find that there are more similarities than there are differences, even with the most different of industries that they're in. But by the end of that journey, what we've done is we've helped them move from the what to the how to. How are they implementing the changes that they're putting in place? How are they implementing the learnings, and how are the measures stacking up behind it? So, for example, they want to integrate artificial intelligence, AI, into their data analytics. They want to move from predictive analytics, where they are now, to more prescriptive analytics. So what we do is ADA. We do A, analysis. So we bring in an external expert in this field. So we bring in a data scientist. We work in their organisation over a month's period, and then we feed back to the leadership team at what stage they're at, what needs to change, and how they do it. Then we demonstrate, and we do that by taking them to different organisations. So this is part of our leadership exploration. So for example, I'm working with one organisation at the moment who is looking to incorporate the likes of ChatGPT and all of these kind of open AIs into their organisation. We're taking them to Google, Asia Pacific headquarters, and we're going to be talking to some of their cloud specialists around what are their developments with Bard, how do they see the future, how does it apply to leadership, and how does it apply to management. And then the third element, the other A, is apply. Then we come up with a plan between the leaders and the organisation internally around what is the journey that we need to go on right now. Again, it's the context. What's the speed that we can go at? What are the first steps, the second steps, and the measurables in place? And then how are we going to review that back in around 3 months' time?
There are many other leadership consultants that one might say offer a similar offering that you do. What sets you apart?
So for us, it starts at the all-important context. We have to be credible as a learning organisation. I would say we're a boutique learning organisation. We're not as big as some of the main players out there, but we invest at that level. We invest in research to understand the changing landscape of leadership development, but also organisational transformation. So that research that we invest in is now done year on year. I used to do it every 2 or 3 years, but the pace of change means now I have to invest in it from my profits year on year, and I'm delighted to do so because it really helps us, but it also helps our clients with their strategies, with their leadership development also, but also how we then differentiate ourselves versus our competitors.
Could you give us a few leadership tips that our viewers can take away with them?
I can. And the first would be based on the research I talked about before that I've been doing, the transformational leadership research, is that increase in anxiety and mental health issues is real at leadership level. So leave your pride and ego at the door. Demonstrate that vulnerability that you're not the smartest person in the room anymore, if leaders ever were, and have the courage to ask for help. That's the first one. The second one is think about your legacy. What is your plan to leave the organisation, your people and your customers in a much better state than when you first took up your post as a leader? So the third would be to practice good judgment and radical honesty. I can't have good judgment if I'm not being honest with myself, with the rest of the organisation, even with my board advisors as a leader. So in order to practice good judgment, we need to have everybody on board with very open communications, feedback all the way up the line and all the way down the line. Everybody should be involved in that discussion. The fourth and final that I would add to this is that speed point, is that speed is critically important. Speed is the competitive currency of today. But with some organisations who are lagging and some leaders themselves, then slowing down to speed up is the secret, because you want to slow down, not break down.
Jeremy Blaine, CEO of Performance Works International. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel.